Hello everyone, it's Villainous V here, and today for Warframes for Dummies, we're talking about statuses. This is what you need to know. So here's the basics. So there are physical and there are elemental statuses. There's also a bunch of other statuses that you don't even know that are statuses. We're going to call those advanced statuses. So we're going to start with the basic ones, and the basic ones are known as ISP. What's ISP? Well, if you look right there, it's impact, puncture, and slash. So we're going to go over these because you're going to need to know all of this. So impact is like blunt damage. So when you hit someone, it's blunt damage. So this is very good against shields, corpus shields. And if you do hover over it, you can clearly see that it'll give you everything you need to know. But one of the things you definitely need to know for at least impact is this is very good for getting Parazon kills. And Parazon kills is that hidden blade that comes out of nowhere. And if it instantly kills people. And that's very good for high value targets. So impact is not the best status, but if you do have a weapon that has a lot of impact and you can just go through the automatically killing, you will actually do some pretty good stuff. So we're going to go to the next one, puncture. So I'm just going to read this one off. Highly effective against Grineer armor, moderately effective against Grineer alloy armor, infested sinew, and corpus robotics. Puncture has the status of pretty much reducing your the target's damage, and when it gets up to its multiple the max stacks that it gets up to is 75%. So if you have, I think it's 5 in order to get this, I'm not 100% sure. I think at least 1 or multiple stacks. Once you get up to 75%, that's its max. It's not going to go further, so you could have 100 stacks on it and it's not going to mean anything. The next one is going to be slash. Slash is very good against non-armored things. What it'll do is it bypasses armor straight, but it does not pass through shields. It's basically it's a tick. It's a dot. And if you don't know what dot is damage over time. Now, one of the things I want to go over is stacks. So when I say stacks, is in you got this status applied once, and then you apply it again and again, and it just stacks on top of it. So whenever I say a stack and dot, you know what it means now. So we're going to get into the elements. Okay, so for explaining the rest of this, I just went to a weapon that has nothing on it to explain, because this is going to get a little interesting. So let's start with heat. So I'm just going to apply the heat status onto this weapon. So this is really good against non-armored enemies, but one of the nice things about it is it'll do damage over time. It also reduces the armor value by half, which is very good. And then it stacks multiple times, but it does have a max. So if you do hit someone with heat, it'll do a damage over time, which is great, and it'll also reduce their armor. So definitely don't think heat is worthless. It's actually very good. So the next one we're going to go over is toxic. So yoink. Toxic is another one you don't want to skip over. So it's another dot, but this one will bypass shields. So that blue line, it'll bypass it right away. And it's very good for when you're going up against the corpus. The next one is going to be called cold. So cold is not the best, but it is fairly good. And its status will slow down enemies. So if you can apply a lot of status to a lot of enemies, or if you can apply a lot of cold to a lot of enemies really quickly, you can slow them down without actually having to use an ability, which is really good. So the next one I'm going to do, and it's the final of the basic 4, is shock, or electricity, sorry. So electricity is also very good against shields. It will temporarily stun your enemy, But with enough stacks on, it'll also chain lightning, which is very good. Because if you get enemies nearby, it'll chain to the next enemy. And I think it only goes 2 hops, if not 3. I'm not 100% sure, but I will put a link in the description for the wiki. So now we get into some weird stuff. So we're going to keep with electricity on right now, but I'm going to slap on toxic, and that makes corrosive. So corrosive is, when it creates it, is very good against certain types of enemies, and you can see right there. But when you put corrosive on an enemy, it'll reduce the armor value by 80%. So what you could do is you could have your fire and your corrosive, and it doesn't stack on top of it very well, but you could, theoretically speaking, remove a lot of armor with it. So corrosive is very good. The next one we're going to do is I'm just going to remove toxic, and we're going to put heat on, and that'll give us radiation. So radiation is a bit of an interesting one, but what it does is it'll turn on friendly fire for enemies. So if you hit an enemy with radiation, basically, if they will get confused and they'll start shooting other people. I will say this as well: if you do get hit, because you will, as a player, you will get hit with radiation. Some of the sortie missions will have radiation hazards. You'll see when you hear the Geiger counter going off, that's a radiation hazard. And when you get hit with radiation status, that turns on friendly fire for you. And I know there's a lot of people out there that will they do take advantage of this, and they'll troll. Please don't troll. We're all playing this game to have fun, but that's a possibility. So I will then do the last one, which is cold, and it makes magnetic. So magnetic, what it'll do is it'll actually, each hit will reduce shields, and it will even slow down shield regeneration on enemies. So magnetic isn't bad. It's just not the greatest. You can actually have up to 2, or you can have up to a lot of statuses on a weapon, but we'll go into that later because I want to show a few more. So we're going to remove electricity, and we're going to put toxic back on there, which will make viral. Viral is one of the good ones to have, because what it'll do is it basically makes the enemy vulnerable. They'll take more damage, which is very good. This is probably one of the... A lot of people say, what's the difference really between corrosive and viral? Viral makes them weak to your damage. Corrosive will reduce their armor. So if you can get viral and corrosive on at the same time, it's awesome. If you can get heat, corrosive, and viral all on at the same time, which is possible, it's just very hard to do. It's a very good thing. So we'll take toxic out, and I will put in the heat back in, and now we have blast. Blast is a very interesting one, and what it'll do is it reduces the enemy's accuracy. So what you could do if you wanted to, if you had puncture and blast going out constantly, you could increase your survivability if you really wanted to do that. There's one more, so we'll take off frost, and I will put toxic on, which will make gas. What does gas do? It's silent, it's deadly, and it's also a area effect status. So what it'll create a 3-meter radius around the area, and they'll take damage over time. So if you have gas and electric, and you can do this, I will show you this momentarily. So if you want gas and electric on at the same time, when enemies are grouped in an area, they will take damage over time from the gas and damage over time from the electric. Now I know what you're thinking, V, why can't I just put just heat, just electricity, just toxic, and just gas all on at the same time? Can't. You can't. And this is why. So you see that how we have 2 elements on right now. So if I put a third, it'll make toxic and blast. So it took the gas that we initially had, and then I put frost on, so now it's blast and then toxic. Now I can also put the last one on, boom, and now we have gas and magnetic. Now I know this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and going back to the one thing way back in your orbiter when we were going over the symbols here, the polarization symbols, when you can swap them around, this is the reason why. So right now we have gas and magnetic. So if I move heat over 1, if we do this, we'll now have blast and corrosive. And if we do this and then swap that out, now we have radiation and viral. So where your mods are on here will determine what order they go in. Now, if I had if the weapon already has, let's say, toxic on it, you can do some weird stuff. But for the time being, we're going to keep it super simple. So you see all this right here. So yeah, this is why you'd be able to move your polarity from one side, from all over, just because of this. So you can have radiation and viral on at the same time. Now let me go to another weapon and I'll show you. You can actually have viral and corrosive on. So here you can see I have multiple statuses going on here right now. So this is my one of the weapons that one of the melee weapons that you can just make. So you see I have the original ISP, but you also see that I have heat, gas, viral, and corrosive all on at the same time. And I know that's a real stretch, but that's because I have this weapon itself has an innate viral proc already on it. So that means I have gas and corrosive, but also heat. It makes sense. I don't know exactly how it makes sense, but it just bloody makes sense. To figure out how to do it, I'm not 100% sure on that one. Now, there's advanced ones, and I will go to the wiki for that. Okay, so you can see on the screen here, this is actually all you'll ever need to know when it comes to statuses. So if you're going to make radiation, you need heat and electricity. If you want to make magnetic, you need electricity and cold. So this is the way you'll be able to figure it out. And also being on the wiki, they do go into a lot more detail than I originally have. All right, so the next few types of damages, you have true damage, where it cuts through everything, but it's not a tick. You have void, and void is your tenos damages. Okay, so the advanced ones I'm going to go over is we're going to start with the big stagger. So in the game, you can be staggered, and you can also stagger enemies. You can also disarm them. Stagger is just a quick, they'll flinch. I don't remember. No, impair is PvP only. So knockdown, some weapons and some stuff will let you knock down enemies. That counts as a status. Also, lifted also counts as a status. You'll see them up in the air, floating, kind of ragdolling around. Ragdoll's also a status, which is hilarious. Microwave, and the only way microwave you can do that is with the new core or the Kuva new core. You also have paired, which that's when they are parried. Sorry, that's when you open up your enemy to a finisher. Silence, sleep, slow, stagger, regular stagger, stun, and I don't know what this last one is. That's weird. But those are all additional statuses. So when you have this mod right here, condition overload, and you have on the enemy, you have viral heat, you also knock them down. That counts as 3 statuses from the get-go. And you also have slash and maybe an impact on there. That is 5 times 80. That's what, 450 additional damage just for having all those statuses on. And all of this damage is are additive. So when you put stuff on, it is all additive, not multiplicable. The only way you can do that is with the smite or the Bane mods. Anyways, I hope this was very helpful. Again, if you have any questions, please comment. If you need to go over something additionally, please go to the Warframe wiki. They will explain it better than I will, but this is just a vet handing down information to everyone else. Again, if you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you really want to see more Warframe content, come subscribe, join up, and see you in the next video. Y'all take care. Stay cool. Goodbye.